Hello, INI students. Well, this week we have to work with reported speech or indirect speech. Let's have a look at these words I have here in this file. When we deal with indirect speech, we have to take into account we are going to use some verbs. In the case of statements, you know what a statement is? And a statement is a sentence which is not a question, okay? It is either an affirmative or a negative sentence, okay? That is a statement. Which are the verbs that some of the most basic verbs we use when we report statements? Well, the verb say, and that's why I wrote this for you to remember. When you use the verb say, you say something directly, okay? There is no preposition involved. And the same happens with some other verbs that you can use, like to shout, or to whisper, or to state, to add. Then you have the verb tell. You have to be very careful. When do we use tell? Well, when you use tell basically when you have somebody. You tell somebody something. Or you tell something to somebody. For example, to show you the difference. With the verb say, I would say, she said she was married. With the verb tell, I would say, she told me she was married. Okay? And then, well, if you use the verb to explain, you have to explain something, and you may say that you explained something to somebody. She explained she was married to her students. Okay? All right. I have some statements here related to myself, and I'm going to read them. My name is Adriana. This is true, you know. I work at university. I'm not going to university because of the lockdown. I studied in Buenos Aires. I moved here in 1988. I have lived here for more than 30 years now. I have been working at university since 1992. And I can still remember my first class. Okay? These are all true statements about myself. What do we do when we turn this direct speech into indirect speech? You probably know that we have to move all tenses a step backwards. Why? Well, basically because the reported verb we use is in the past, typically. So let's try to think about these first examples here, okay? Imagine, well, Adriana, this is me. So you could say, our teacher, that's it, said, so as this, okay, imagine you come to university, no, not to university. Well, I say this to you, then you go home and you want to tell your parents. So you start, our teacher said, and we need to go a step backwards with our tenses. What does it mean? Look at the first tense in the first sentence. Which tense is this? I hope you know this is a simple present. So, instead of a simple present, I need a simple past. Our teacher said her name was Adriana. Can you see the change? Okay. She said, there is a word here that I omitted, but you may find it here, okay? You may say, she said that she, look at this verb. Again, a simple present, I need a simple past. She said that she worked at university. All right? And this is between brackets because you may omit it. You may say she said she worked at university. And then you may add, she told us, that, let's look at the tense. What about this tense? I am not going. It is the present progressive, right? So the present progressive turns into, yes, past progressive. She told us that she was not going to university because of the lockdown. Okay? So these are our reported statements. Okay? Let's go on. See if you can do this. What about the tense in this statement here? I studied. What is that? Simple past. So, past perfect. Okay, a step backwards means the simple past becomes past perfect. She explained she had studied in Buenos Aires. Okay? She explained she had studied in Buenos Aires and had moved here. In fact, when you read about reported speech, they say he moved there. Well, it depends where we are. Here we are talking about Mar del Plata, and we are still in Mar del Plata. So I'm not going to change this. I will still say, and she had moved here in 1988. Can you see the difference? Imagine you visited your parents in Buenos Aires. In that case, you could say, our teacher said she had moved there. Okay, because we will be talking about Mar del Plata, not Buenos Aires. But if you are still in Mar del Plata, here is here. Okay. Then we could say she added what? Where are we? Where are we? Here. What about these tense? Have lived. Present perfect. A step backwards, it becomes a past perfect. She added that she had, where are we? Lived. Are here for more than 30 years. Okay? All right? So we see that the simple present becomes past perfect. The present perfect also becomes a past perfect. So these would be our reported statements here. And let's have a look at the last statements here. I have been working at university since 1992. What about this tense? Have been working. This is present perfect progressive. So we need a past perfect progressive. She told us she had been working, all right, at university since 1992. Look at the other. What about this? This is something we have to work with, but you probably know. This is a modal, okay? A modal auxiliary. We haven't dealt with modal auxiliaries yet, but we will. You know that in this case, can expresses ability, okay? It is a modal we use to express ability. When you say I can speak English, I can dance, can play the piano. Well, and in this case, I can remember, okay? She said, what about can? What about modals? Modals also go a step backwards. Can becomes could. Yes, she said that she could still remember, shame on me, remember, well, I have a problem, her first class. Okay? So, the only thing we have to remember here when we deal with the reporting of statements is which verb we are using, because depending on the verb you're going to need you're going to include who you are talking to or not. So you say something, or you tell somebody something. Okay? And then you have to remember to go a step backwards. Then you're going to see that in your booklet, I can show you this. Where is it? Here on page, let me see, 37 of your booklet, you have a quick reference related to reported speech, where it says, for example, that the present simple it turns into the past simple, the present continuous into the past continuous, the past simple into the past perfect, the past continuous into the past perfect continuous, all right? The present perfect into past perfect. And here's some modals: will, would, can, could, may, might, must, sometimes changes to had to, okay? And some of them don't change, like would, could, should, might, And here they tell you about the changes. For example, the change of, is it here or not? Here and there? No. Well, but this is something similar. In what sense? Imagine I say, I'm leaving tomorrow. If you want to report my statement, you want to tell your parents what I said, but I talk to you on Monday and you talk to your parents on Monday, tomorrow is Tuesday in both cases. Now, okay? If not, you use the following day, because maybe you talk to your parents 2 days later, so she said she was leaving the following day. All right? But don't worry about that so much for the time being, okay? I will give you some instructions so that you work on the exercises that we have in our booklet. I will stop here and I will start a new video dealing with questions which are really a little bit more difficult, I would say.